All right, Larry Krueger here from Levi's Stadium for the Pig and a Pickle Crew Show with a little 49er video as we recap everything that happened down here in Santa Clara on a Friday. The Niners getting ready to board the bird and go to New York to take on the New York Giants. Sunday at MetLife Stadium, Niners and Giants go on that disaster turf, and hopefully the Niners get a nice bounce back win after their loss to the Houston Texans last week. All right, the big story today is the quarterbacks. Mac Jones is going to start for the Niners in this game. Brock Purdy, though, is listed as questionable. He practiced this week. He got some first-team reps. This is the first time that Purdy's been listed as questionable. So what does that mean? That means that Brock Purdy might be the backup in this game. Niners really got to get this W. And this is a really good defensive front, and Purdy's getting closer. I don't think they're going to put him out there, but there's a chance he could be the backup in this game. He is listed as questionable at this point. Mac Jones is going to start. He took the majority of the first team reps. Jones has looked really good. He really has. He's not 100%, but he's healthier than Purdy. Purdy was limited in practice this week, where Jones was a full go. So Mac Jones will start. Brock Purdy may back up, and that's going to be a game time decision. We'll see how that shakes out between now and Sunday. We should also tell you that this 49er practice report is brought to you by our friends at Plank. That's right, the new 50,000 square foot entertainment eatery at Jack London Square in Oakland. Plank just opened the hub, a brand new sports viewing space with 30-foot media wall, over 70 TVs. It's the ultimate spot to watch every game. Enjoy incredible food, specialty cocktails, and their massive 15,000 square foot outdoor beer garden. Plus, they've got 12 lanes to bowl. If you want to bowl, you can play bocce. There's arcade games. Just a cool spot. So it's a place, it's really the place to be for game day or just a fun weekend out. So check them out. I went there a few weeks ago. Kevin and I bowled a game and had a good time. Had a couple beers and hung out. Cool spot. Check them out. plankoakland.com. Once again, that's plankoakland.com. All right, let's talk a little bit more about some of the things that we learned down here in Santa Clara as the Niners prepare to go to New York to take on the Giants in Week 9. All right, some of the notes from today. On the injury front, why don't we start there on the injury front across the board? Purdy, Purdy is questionable. Other Niners who are questionable include Jordan Elliott. Ben Bartch is listed as questionable. Jake Brendel, or I should say not Jake Brendel. Purdy, Elliott, Bartch, D. Winters, Spencer Burford, and Sam O. All listed as questionable. Questionable means they got a 50-50 shot to go. Out for this game is Jake Brendel, Bryce Huff, Yetur Gross-Matos, and Ricky Pearsall. The Yetur Gross-Matos one is really frustrating because Gross-Matos looked like he was trending towards playing. He's got a little bit of a hamstring. He must have had some kind of pull or re-aggravation, or it must be just nagging because he was out there earlier in the week and kind of regressed as the week went on. So that's probably the disappointing name on the list is Yetur Gross-Matos. I think there was hope just, Wednesday that he could play on Sunday, and now he's not going to play. He's out. He's out for the game. So that's a bad break for the Niners. What happened today in Ninerland as far as other news? Yetur Gross-Matos with the hamstring, as I said, he's out. He did not practice today. Ricky Pearsall also did not practice today. As far as the Giants' injuries, they ruled out cornerback Paulson Adebo. And the Giants come into this game really banged up in the secondary. Paulson Adebo, the Giants' #1 corner, is out. I think his name's Cordale Flott, their #2 corner. He's got a concussion. He's out. Chauncey Goldston, their defensive lineman, has got a neck injury. He is also out. And Art Green, their cornerback's got a hamstring injury, and he's out. So they're down 3 corners in this game, and that's big. As far as doubtful, Daniel Bellinger, the tight end, is doubtful, and Jermaine Illuminor, the offensive tackle, is having a pretty good year. He's also doubtful. And then questionable is Javon Holland, the veteran safety, who's a Bay Area guy, by the way. And then Rico Payton, the corner, is also questionable. So the Giants are banged up in the secondary for sure. As we said, Mac Jones will start. Purdy may be the backup. He may be the number 3. There was a chance this week that Burford could be activated off the IR list. It doesn't look like that's going to happen, but we'll find out for sure tomorrow on Saturday. Couple other notes. Yesterday, the Niners lost an offensive lineman. Tennessee claimed Drew Moss off waivers. That's kind of a rough break for the Niners. PFF is suggesting with the NFL trade deadline just 4 days away at this point that the Niners should trade for Cincinnati's inside linebacker Logan Wilson. Thought that was interesting. Wilson's a talented linebacker for sure. I really liked him. I think he played collegiately at Wyoming. Kyle Shanahan said that, this week that I asked him about Cam Scatterbo with the Niners playing the Giants. How did the Niners feel about Cam Scatterbo, going into the draft? And he said, hey, man, we loved him. We thought he was awesome. Of course, he went to the Giants in the 4th round. The Niners couldn't get him. I think they probably would have taken him on day 2 if he had been there even one more round, but instead he went to the Giants in the 4th. Clelin Ferrell, according to Shanahan, has a chance to be elevated from the practice squad tomorrow. Shanahan says, hey, look, we're down numbers. Everybody's a possibility at this point to be elevated. And so we may see Clelin Ferrell, who's looked good in practice. He may get the practice squad elevation tomorrow. Something to look for. Keon White, according to Kyle Shanahan, had a really good week of practice. He was impressed that Keon got here Wednesday and was able to go through a couple practices in today's walkthrough. And he feels pretty good about Keon White being able to get out there and contribute against the Giants on Sunday. As far as a couple stats that are interesting, here's one that I thought was interesting. Where do the Niners rank defensively in passing situations? Well, according to Next Gen Stats, the Niners are 26th in defending the intermediate pass. They're 24th when teams are passing with versus no play action. They're 25th in deep passing defense. They're 26th in passing without blitzing. They're 22nd in passing without pressure. They're 22nd in overall passing efficiency. So expect a lot of blitzes this week. They're not going to let Jackson Dart just sit back there and set up camp. Without Nick Bosa last week against the Texans, Robert Saleh blitzed 33% of the time. It was the highest blitz rate he had for the season. As far as New York's got a 6.1% sack percentage, which is 22nd in the NFL, which is a little surprising. They've got 18 sacks, which is middle of the pack in the NFL. It's really Brian Burns is the guy you got to stop. Burns has 10 sacks by himself. He's just a one-man show. Thibodeau's got 2.5. Dexter Lawrence has got a half sack. Abdul Carter, believe it or not, only has a half sack. But Carter does lead New York overall in pressures with 32. Burns has 28, 25 for Thibodeau, 16 for DeMarcus Lawrence. So, and Lawrence has been doubled, by the way, 61.2% of the time. That's the team high. He's doubled all the time. Teams double Lawrence. As far as the Giants' run defense, man, it's bad. They give up 148.9 rushing yards per game, third most in the NFL. New York has allowed a 100-yard rusher, or 100 yards rushing in all but 2 games this year. So CMC has to have a 20-plus. He has to. CMC is yet to have a 20-plus run, 20-yard-plus run. This whole season, and I think this is the game he gets one. I think CMC gets the long run in this game against this Giants team. As far as the New York running backs, now that Scatterbo is out, it's Tyrone Tracy is going to be the starter. He's coming off a shoulder injury. The Giants running backs, other than Cam Scatterbo, are only averaging 3.3 yards per carry. So Tracy's got a shoulder injury. Scat's out with the ankle injury. He was averaging 4.1 yards per carry. But, look for them to throw the ball to Tyrone Tracy. Tracy is a really, really good receiver. No question about that. We also should tell you that this entire football season is brought to you by Sleeper. Check them out. Use promo code Larry. Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. Also, thanks to Pig in a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out. They're in Corte Madera. They're in Emeryville. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. And also, lastly, I asked Kyle Shanahan today, I said, how's Brock Purdy dealing with this injury? I mean, as far as what's his mood like? Because, what a terrible feeling. You sign this big contract, you get married, you have this amazing offseason, you have this little baby girl, your life is great, you've been paid, you're now married, you have a little girl. All you need is to get on the field and kick ass. And he had a great summer. An awesome summer. He looked fantastic this summer. And then he winds up with turf toe. And it's this debilitating thing that impacts his escapability and his accuracy and his arm strength and everything. And it just won't go away. And you give it a couple weeks. Did it go away? No. Now they've given it 5 weeks, 6 weeks. And I asked Kyle, I said, what's Brock's disposition like? Well, how's he dealing with this? He's like, well, Brock's a pretty mentally grounded guy, but he said it's tearing him up. He's having a hard time with it because it's like he wants to get out there so bad. And he's done, he's talked to a lot of different people about it, so he knows. It's not like he doesn't understand what he's going through. He does. He understands it's a ridiculously difficult injury, and it's pesky, and it won't go away. So I just hope that they give him, multiple more weeks of rest to put this thing to bed. Because you know what? It doesn't matter if Brock Purdy's back for week 10 or week 11 or week 8 or week 7 or week 4. It doesn't matter. What matters is that, are they going to qualify for the playoffs? Is he going to be given enough time in December to get himself tuned up for the playoffs? And can he lead the 49ers to some playoff wins and hopefully a Super Bowl win right here in Super Bowl 60 at Levi's? So that's the mindset. Hopefully he's staying positive, but I hope they give him plenty of time to rest, bring him back. If you got to hold him off to the bye week, then hold him off to the bye week. It would be hardly the worst thing in the world if Brock Purdy played in week 15 and then went 4-0 or 3-1 down the stretch and then was healthy through the playoffs. You might even get a fresher, rested Brock Purdy because he's had so much time off. So to me, it's all about get beyond this toe injury any way possible. And if that means you got to keep him on the sideline for an extra few weeks, do it. Do it. To me, this season starts for real when they start losing games and they're falling out of the playoff picture, or after the bye week, week 15, 16, 17. That's where this thing's going to be. That's where I want to see this thing ramped up. So, do I want to see Brock Purdy in this game at MetLife? No, I do not. Do I want to see Brock Purdy come off the bench at MetLife and play on this turf? No, I do not. And I don't think any of you should either. But I do want to see Brock Purdy. But it's fine with me if I don't see him until after the bye week. And as every week goes by, I'm starting to think that might be the likely scenario. The Niners aren't saying that. Nobody's whispering that. But, man, we're already at week 9. He's not there. The bye week's week 14. Just get this toe right. The worst thing ever would be if he played and had a recurrence of the injury and is out for the year. That would be the worst. I don't want to see that. So if you got to sit him through the bye week, do it. Get this toe right. As far as the trade deadline's coming up. Who's available? I'll give you the list that I saw today. Miami, they say, is going to move Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, and Matthew Judon. The Jets are not going to move Will McDonald IV, but they are open to moving Jermaine Johnson, Michael Clemens, Quincy Williams. I could see the Niners being very active in conversation with the Jets. The Saints, they say, may move Alontae Taylor, but they want a second-round pick for the corner. They may move Chris Olave. They may move Rashid Shaheed. Tennessee may move Arden Key, Draymond Jones. The interesting name I saw from Tennessee was Tavondre Sweat. If the Titans want to move Tavondre Sweat, man, if I were the Niners, I would get in line for him. Big defensive tackle that could really help the Niners down the road. Raiders are going to move Michael Mayer, they say, maybe Jackson Powers-Johnson, maybe Jacoby Myers. Cleveland, David Njoku. Cincinnati, maybe Logan Wilson. We'll see about Trey Hendrickson. They say Minnesota and Indy are the teams looking for corner help. Kansas City's looking for a defensive tackle and a running back. Buffalo's looking for a defensive tackle with Ed Oliver out until the playoffs for Buffalo. Denver is looking for a tight end. They just added Mercedes Lewis, but they may still be looking for one. And according to reports, the Niners are not the only team looking for an edge rusher. Philly, Washington, Baltimore, Detroit, all looking for an edge rusher. If I'm going to make a prediction on what the Niners will do, I'll say the 49ers trade a third-round draft choice. I'll say the Niners trade a third-round draft choice to the Jets for Jermaine Johnson and Michael Clemens. I don't think they love the idea of moving a third-round pick, but I think they need help. I think they'll beat the Giants, and I think they'll make that trade early next week. They'll beat the Giants on Sunday, and the Niners will trade for Jermaine Johnson and Michael Clemens from the Jets at the deadline for a third-round pick. Maybe it's a fourth and another pick in 27. I could see something like that. But the Niners may not even have a fourth because they've already moved it in the Philly trade for Huff. So they've got a fourth or a fifth, so they may not have a fourth, so they probably can't trade a 26th fourth. But I definitely could see, of the guys on this list, Jermaine Johnson, Michael Clemens seem like the fits for the Niners, considering Robert Saleh and their game and how it would fit and what the Niners really are looking for at this point. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to Sleeper. Thanks to our good friends at Plank Oakland. And thanks to you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.